Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. As Murphy's Law would have it, about 10 minutes after I wrapped up the last video, guess what showed up? Shocking. Alrighty, like I said, right after I wrapped up the last video, shortly after the FedEx guy dropped off our new strut for the front end here. So we're gonna go ahead and get that put on and get the rest of the front end buttoned up and back down on all four of those brand new Pirelli tires. But before I do that, hit that like and subscribe button below. Let's YouTube know we've got good stuff over here. Watch the video, share it with your friends, mock me, do something, because this week's video is sponsored by... That's right, sponsor not found. So at the end of the last video, at the end of the last video, we wrapped up the installation of the new CV boot here, and that looks to be fitting in like it should. I did go ahead and toss in the new control arms just so that I can put in the CV axle into the hub because I need to tap it all the way out to get this front arm out. So this is just sitting in here right now, just because, and of course it looks like the old strut is leaking all over my new CV boot. Wonderful. So I had to go ahead and take this boot out, get that spring off, and to do that we've got to take this plastic cover off, and I believe there is a little clip up here that comes out and a little plastic rivet here that comes out, and this should pretty well pop up once I get the rest of my screws out of the way from disassembling the fender. So let's go ahead and get that done. That'll give us access to our three studs under here to go ahead and get that strut assembly out. So over here on the side is a little plastic rivet. Should come out. Without much fuss. Maybe. And I think these two come out. They look like Phillips screws, but I believe they're actually fake, but we'll just double check. Nope, that is part of something different. Finish getting this out. My wrench kind of broke or bent. There we go. And we should have this clip right up here. Pull that back. There we go. Something over here on the side here to unclip. And off it comes. More of this comes out too. Because, there's my air filters. Well, maybe I can get at it without. I've got one here, no, one back there. Looks like this plasticky thing also comes out here. Yep. Well, that seems like a giant pain. Okay, well, it involved taking off this piece of the cowl in front of the airbox and fuse box. Got our front suspension, our strut support here, cross member. That doesn't have to come off, but I do have access to 1, 2, 3 of my bolts now and nuts for the strut. So I'm going to take this off. It's probably a 13 mil. We'll find out. But really there's only about four screws back here. These guys right here, T25 hex head, and then a pair of 10 mil bolts that sit right down here and over here. And then this cowl comes out. Of course, now it's easier to get the air cleaners out. Air filters, those will be replaced. I did knock some of the chunks out of them. They're not horrible. They've just seen some wear and probably weren't changed at 100,000 mile maintenance. But I can live with that. I can live with new air filters because, well, new owner, new air, new smells. Probably best to change them anyways. So go ahead, loosen up these nuts here. And our strut, in this case, should fall out because it's really not supported by anything like the control arms now. I did leave everything loose down here because I want to make sure that I don't need to take anything back out before I put this new strut assembly in with the strut support on it. I got to figure out where it goes, but I believe everything here pivots forward quite a bit to get this front control arm up into his happy place up here. So I need to figure out where that goes in relation to the strut bracket and get that where it goes. So for now, we're going to work on getting the strut out, swap over the spring and assembly to the new strut, and throw her back together. And if you're an idiot and trip over your LED lights, they break. So I guess I'm down a rather bright and helpful light until I go to town next, which won't be during this video. All right, let's try not to break anything else and get these couple of nuts off. Pop goes the weasel. Alrighty, here's our wonderful strut assembly. And pretty much now I've got to go ahead, lock in my McPherson strut compression thingies and go after this with a reverse or a hollowed out socket and a Torx head or an Allen head to freeze the shaft from spinning. I did go ahead and do this over on the, I'm not sure what this purple stuff is. Fairy dust. I did go ahead and do this also over on the video for the X3 rear assemblies, so I'm not going to do it all here on camera, but I'll go ahead and leave a link above in one of these little cards if you want to see how it's done. Well, we got the strut replaced. I took a few minutes actually to go through and fix the bulb. Quick little solder, some shrink wrap, and we're good to go, at least until I knock it over the next time. Now, take a look in here. I did go ahead and set it back in the car with a bolt in place just for simplicity and getting it in there. But there is a direction that this goes in, and you'll definitely see that the shock, the strut assembly does tip out from the vehicle when it is installed properly. Otherwise, this top mount bracket kind of sits at an angle when it's installed properly. So you want to make sure you do have that angle out towards the hub. Now, what I have to do, take out my rear arm here again, but I've got to drop everything down about 2 inches so I can get the strut into this bracket down here. So the end of that tube's got to go into here. So we're going to see how easy that is, and hopefully I don't have to take out the CV shaft again. I don't know if that's going to do it for me. Oh, I think I've got to tap the shaft out again. Well, maybe. Let's see if I can finagle it in here. Don't have a whole lot of hopes in compressing this thing, and I'm sure not going to put the compression tool back on there. But let's see. Not damage my brake sensor. Okay, now that will work. So let's go ahead and put our strut back in here, the right direction. I also know because I had, well, crap, you can't see any of this shit, can you? No, you can't. Oh. Well, all right. We're gonna start over here. So I had to take the strut out again because I could not fit it into the bracket down here with the CV axle inserted in the hub. So we just took stuff apart. And now I think with some level of certainty, I can reassemble some items. I'm going to start a nut up on top. Now I have my ABS sensor in the way again. You're out of the way. Now I have my bracket. It can be slid into place, hopefully. Well, a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff down here now. We have joints and brackets, and there we go. Into the bracket. If I can get you back in here. These are one of the things you don't want to force and just bang in, because if you strip off the splines, you're going to have a bad day. Okay. You're in there. You're in there enough to catch my nut, which means hopefully I can get my, oh, control arm's in the wrong spot. What do you know? Almost. Well, I can take him out. The rear one isn't so bad. The front one kind of needs to go in at a certain point in time. All right, you. This would be a lot easier for everybody if I had a lift. I could see what I'm doing. You could see what I'm doing. All right. Let me show you what I've done here. So I had to get the strut into this bracket right here. And this bracket had to go over the CV axle, and it also has to go and catch the rear control arm because there's a bolt that goes through right here. So that's what I've been trying to get lined up. The front one, the front control arm, that's already there. He just needs to go in there, right there. And then our tie rod end goes up here where there's a spot for it, and we tighten everything up. So I'm going to go ahead, let's keep fiddling and getting things finger tight. Then we'll come back, see how things look, move my light out of the way. Maybe you can see now. A little better, here we go. Try and get the rest of these things loosely lined up. Nut and bolt for the bracket I've got to pull off. Well, that looks like it'll be fun. At least this I can take over to the vise. All right, we got this big bolt knocked out, so let's see if we can get it into our control arm somehow. almost. Whoop. Oh, it's got to go the other way though. Always when you're putting things back together, try and throw them so the nuts thread from the backside. So in the event that your nut spins off, your bolt just doesn't, by force of gravity, slip out the back. That would certainly be a bad day. Okay. You're in. That leaves us with this big guy up front. Gotta get him through the hole in the back, and he'll be in. Little taparoo going. Tap, tap, tap. No. Have to fiddle with him. We've got our rear arm here. And this one I'm going to actually have to come back with my floor jack and press up, because now we're pressing against the strut. So let me go find my floor jack and we'll get that pushed up there. Alrighty, so we're back. I did go ahead, and put this rear control arm in here. With the floor jack, it was as easy as pushing it up, and that really leaves us with tightening everything up. So I've got the front arm, the rear arm, this bracket, these bolts down here, my my tie rod for the steering column, and then I have to pull the CV shaft through the hub and get that knocked down as well with that giant 36 mil nut. Up here, I've got my three nuts to put back on my shock tower. Got these plastic fairings to put back in, my air filter, and we're going to be good to go. So let me go ahead and wrap all that stuff up, because really, you saw me take it apart and it's pretty much reverse. The only thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and drop some blue thread lock on all the stuff I've taken off. Not red, because, well, the next guy taking it apart is probably going to be me. So blue thread lock, and tighten everything down, get it torqued, and hopefully I'm going to get the tire on it, and we're going to call this episode a wrap. All right, our wheel is on. It's 11:30 for me, so well past my bedtime for this old fart. Wheel is on. Everything went together pretty good, just slow and pokey, making sure everything is correct. I'm going to have to see when I go out for a drive. You can see the wheel's cocked a little bit to the right here. That's fine. This wheel is also cocked a little bit to the right, so what I need to do is straighten the wheels out and see if they are lined up. I'm probably just going to do a string alignment test here in the garage and see if I need to do anything further. I think the vehicle as a whole could use an alignment, because the rear driver's tire did show some signs of uneven wear. The inside tread was far more worn out than the outside, even though it was all worn out. So probably gonna get a four-wheel alignment anyways, just to be on the safe side, since I just dropped, a good chunk of money in new tires. But we got the top, everything put back together, just reversal of taking it apart. So I did not include that because, well, you saw it once the other direction. I think all of our parts in here look like they should. We've got our brake lines tied up there. We've got our ABS light right in there. This guy's all tightened up. Control arms are all tightened up. Tie rod end is all tightened up. Brackets, the strut mount is all tightened up. Everything's tightened up on the frame. I had about, I don't know, 8 or 10 of those 8mm bolts to go put back on the belly pan, a couple of those little plastic rivets to put back in, and got everything tidied back up like it should. Now, I do have the wheel liners, the fender liners for this, but until we reassemble the front end, I really can't put them in because where the bumper and the fender meet here is under where those fender liners are. And if you remember during disassembly, I had to take out the headlight and snake my hands back here in uncomfortable positions to get right here. So you can see with the fender liner in here, everything gets in the way. So once we get the new fender on, the new bumper on, then I'll be able to come through underneath here, get the bolts in here, get everything tidied up, put the fender liner in, snap in our new wheel arch trim, and call it a day. But next, I've got to go and put the DEF tank back in there and just run a quick drive down to the mailbox and back, just to check everything out, make sure it doesn't drag horribly one side or the other, nothing binds up that I can hear. Since we're missing that other headlight right now, or the bracket for it, not going to go out for a little shakedown on the road. And of course, we're missing a bumper and a bunch of stuff in the front. All the sensors are dragging and hanging down. So I'm just going to go about it methodical, not get ahead of myself and go for a joyride just because I got the last tire on it. But for now, I'm going to go clean up and hit the pillow. So we will see you all very soon in the next episode. And hopefully that one's going to be bodywork. Not much to do. We're going to quick prep the bumper, prep the fender, and 2 coats of primer, coat of sealer, and then shoot it with base and clear. So we'll see y'all real soon for that one. Take care. Bye-bye.